Tēnā koutou katoa, good evening, welcome into the breakdown. Well, after 100 minutes of rugby, Shea Fihaki is all that could separate those two teams, and Canterbury came out on top like they have so often. Jeff Wilson, Stephen Donald, Aaron Cruden joining us on the breakdown. Beef, you were in the promised land for 80 of those minutes.
Yeah, a moral victory to the Steelers, I think, considering...
It's a knockout game, Beaver.
Oh, no.
So there are no moral victories. Yeah. You are gone. You are done.
Yeah, move on then. Move on.
Beav, we're just looking at some vision. This is Beaver watching those final 20 minutes. Tough to watch. It was a bit of a roller coaster. There were some wins.
Stay with it, Cruz. Here we go.
Stay with it. Here we go. You're sitting duck.
A few things I didn't agree with. There.
At the end of the day, though, County should be blimmin' proud. They came within a whisker of making the semi-finals, which would have been an incredible feat when you look at their team sheet and their roster compared to Canterbury, the Crusaders, and some All Blacks.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Rion Graham, the majority, probably 90% of that crew come from County's club footy, and a couple of Super Rugby players sprinkled in. And yeah, very brave effort going down there to Christchurch. And let's be honest, even the most lawless of fans probably didn't give them much of a chance today. Oh,
look, well, here's a very loyal fan. Maybe not for the crowd down there, but one of their greats, one of the county's Monaco greats, Kieran Reid, just giving it to the fans down there at Rugby Park. You reckon they still love him after that?
Of course they do. It's all those titles on the.
Yeah.
They still love him, no doubt about it. But he knows his loyalties. Absolutely, I love that. I thought it's been a great weekend.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the top four teams have got through.
Look, spare a thought for Aaron sitting here.
Look, I'm sorry, Otago got you. Otago got you. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, but how are you?
Not just him, but his shoulder as well. He turned up today wearing a shoulder brace.
Yeah, I have been wearing a sling for the last few days, but I thought for the good of the show, I'd take it off. There's me just trying to put my 80 kgs into Jonah Nareke coming off second best. But, oh, look, it was a fantastic game down there on Friday night. Both teams came with the intent to play and move the ball around. And when I knew I was coming on the show and Goldie was on here as well.
You couldn't say no.
Yeah, I couldn't say no.
Hey, mate, it wasn't an easy watch, I can tell you. I mean, what are you doing taking off two of your best with 10 to go and you're only up 14? Well, I mean, think about the drop goal that might have been touched, but let's not go on.
Yeah, might have been. Yeah, there we go.
Gilbert, mate, look, I think another great contest, but once again, I think we've got the four teams. The top four teams are through, and now next weekend there's South versus North, and both of those. Then it's probably going to be South versus South, let's be honest.
South versus South. I think it's going to be Battle of the Bays.
Are you going Battle of the Bay for the
final? It'll be Battle of the Bays in the final. I firmly believe Tauranga Domain on a Saturday afternoon. Make it happen, everyone. Make it happen. Here are the quarterfinal results, just in case you missed it. Yes, Jeff's Otago. He hasn't stopped talking about it since Friday night. Beat Waikato. Bay of Plenty with a really, really good victory over Tasman at the Domain. Hawke's Bay and Taranaki. They played out a beauty. You two were down there. That was a cracking quarterfinal. And Canterbury, of course, Counties Monaco, as we've just seen.
Yeah, don't sleep on Hawke's Bay. Me and Goldie were there defensively. Their resilience was incredible. And then when they had the ball, they had a couple of guys who just led the way. Well, look at that midfield, Goldie. They were so impressive.
So you've jumped ship, have you, now that Counties and Waikato have gone? You're on Hawke's Bay.
Hawke's Bay were good. Taranaki missed a few opportunities, but I think when you get a sense something special's happening, I think Hawke's Bay, when you're chasing something they've never done before in terms of winning an NPC title, a national provincial title, that team are well and truly connected and strong in so many areas. They're healthy. Zahn Sullivan having a big impact on the game. Lincoln McClutchy, Falau Fakatava was outstanding, but that forward pack went to work. So Canterbury on a short turnaround as well, Cruds. I think that's a massive challenge coming down in Christchurch.
Yeah, it's going to be a great contest. I think I like what you said as well, that you can see things starting to build. And for Hawke's Bay, they've been there or thereabouts, semi-finalists in the last few. So they want to be taking that leap, and what a great opportunity to go down to Christchurch and do that.
You talked about healthy. We've got to see something, because it was a brutal weekend, and someone that probably won't be healthy for the semi-finals is Kurt Eklund. He has 60 stitches in his lip. Look at this.
Letting you know I'm all good. Thank you very much for the messages of support. 60 stitches to the face, which isn't never very fun, but I'm very proud of the boys, and I can't wait to see them go again next week. So thanks to everyone who turned out today, and we go again. Yo.
Yeah, the team goes again. I doubt Kurt Eklund will be going again. And considering you three are backs, I doubt you've ever been that close to a boot in the face before in your life and have a brutal injury like that one.
Did you start throwing shots like that early on in
His
the show,
lip was
Kirsten?
ripped to pieces. Have you had it before?
Yeah, I have actually, to be fair. I got Rua Tapoki got me right across there. Bridge of the nose.
Oh,
Wasn't
ouch.
legal. There was no yellow cards back then.
Did you square up after?
What's that?
Did you square up?
Oh, no, down like I was shot. Down, I was rolling all over the ground. I was trying to get a yellow, maybe red. That's what I was going for.
Big weekend of action coming up in the NPC. Best of luck for that recovery, Kurt. Let's see what's coming up on the show. Coming up, should the All Blacks feature in the NPC playoffs? We chat with High Performance Director Matt Sexton after the New Zealand Schools defeat to Australia. Is the new rugby competition R360 a threat to New Zealand? And we celebrate the buzzer beaters after Otago's last gasp win. Yeah, plenty to discuss over the next hour. And as always, we want you to have your say and your shout. We're about to bring up the QR code. If you have any questions or comments whatsoever, scan that QR code. You can send them in for the panel. Nothing is off limits. Trust me, I've got control and I will ask them whatever comes through. But here is your first poll for you today. Should the All Blacks play in the NPC playoffs? No or yes? I can't even read that. Yes.
Round robin.
If they play round, thank you, Jeff. You take over here. You've got glasses.
I got my glasses on. Yes, it's the showpiece of our game. So there you go.
We're talking about one team in particular, aren't we?
You're giving
I'm
up.
over 30, so I'm of that age now. But Waikato, of course, had Sammy Penny-Finau, Luke Jacobson and Tom Leonard-Brown come back. No, it didn't affect the result of this game, but we asked the question, should certain teams be afforded their All Blacks for the playoffs? Should all of them or should none of them?
I
How
might
should
have
it
had a
work?
different answer if it was a different result. Yeah. Let's be honest. Look, I can understand.
You were annoyed when the team came out.
I was looking at it going, well, there's one team got a competitive advantage here by having their All Blacks available. And yes, I know there are a number of players in and around the All Blacks who haven't had game time. But for me, I do sit a little bit uncomfortable with this if it does have a major effect on a result in key and pivotal positions. It's a hard one. I know the All Blacks, they want to prepare themselves from an end-of-year tour, but you've got guys who have played through the majority of the season. Now, if you've played in round robin, I'm actually okay with it. If you've been part of your squad, you've been to trainings, you've had a number of guys come into your environment, they've committed to that group, they can't wait to get there. If it was a random out of the blue, just getting some game time in a knockout game, I think I'd feel differently about that, because for me, they haven't been engaged in the competition. I think would be an unfair advantage. And then you're putting it in the hands of the All Black selectors and the coaches. They're going, I'm selecting who's going to play here. Do you offer to a player who goes, I want to help my team this week. I'm good to go. I've played some minutes.
We'll take Leroy Carter. Will you take Fabian Holland?
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, Fabian's had a huge workload, and he's probably someone I go, you know what, I can understand maybe not playing. But if you don't offer it to players, Beaver, and if they want to be part of something special, then maybe there's an issue, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably the complete opposite. I think play, regardless of if they've played pool play or not. This is...
Carnies would have won if Cam Roigard was out there today.
Goes without saying.
So that's where we're going. so literally, I tried to put a bit of balance into it. You've simply thought about your home field.
No,
I wouldn't have even gone to extra time.
It's not kids rugby here about, he's been playing all year, carry on. Like, this is professionals and this is our showpiece at this time of year and we want people to watch and we want people to go. Don't you want to go and watch the best? If the best are available, then you let them play. It shouldn't even be a question for me, kids.
Have you been in any competition, though, where all of a sudden they can roll into the knockout stages? You couldn't do that in club rugby. You couldn't do that in any other you couldn't do it in Super Rugby. Can't just rock on up and just, I haven't played all year.
If you've been in the greatest squad, you can.
Of the team. Yep. Never been to a training, never been to say, well, you're named in the squad, but realistically, you were never going to be at a training.
I just think for the good of the game, you just need the biggest names playing. More eyes.
Where do you stand on this, considering your team's benefited on multiple occasions having these players back, haven't they? The results haven't always gone your way, but you've had them in the environment. Yeah,
you're right. And I suppose I come from a different lens, and the way that they've impacted the environment throughout the week when they have been available to play has been massive as well. Obviously, NPC, there's a lot of young talent coming through. So, yeah, I can understand why some people, and I hear what Jeff's saying, might be a little bit annoyed in that regard. But
I'm not annoyed. I just think it
can be an unfair advantage and a challenge. Yeah, and I totally get that too. I probably would agree with the majority where if they've played in the pool play, played a couple of games, then they should be able to be released
And
and
that's
play.
what a lot of people are saying here. Timothy from Nelson says when you're All Blacks, they should play 4 matches in round robins to make the playoffs. Hayden says there should be a law about how many games they have to play.
Yeah, I don't think teams want to be disadvantaged. I will say this, though. If these players are playing for their spot in the All Blacks, I'm actually happy they play and get the opportunity to prove they're good enough. Because I would hate to see some guys miss out on the end-of-year tour and had not had the chance to play any rugby to prove that they're ready to go. And I'm going to put one person in that conversation right now, Sammy Penny-Finau, who's had very little rugby. I had no issue with him coming back to play because he's in some hot competition with some guys who have been playing. Devin Flanders playing really, really well. You've got Christian Leo Willie, who's been playing really well. In his positions, I like the fact he's got to play because there'd be nothing worse. If your name's not read out in an All Black team, you go, well, when did you give me the chance to play? Seriously.
Yeah, tomorrow the All Blacks Northern squad will be named. 36 players will be released at 11:30 tomorrow morning. Robbie from Wanaka, he says, and we're just having a few issues technically with this machine. It's not the glasses this time. It's not the glasses. Okay. Look, I can't actually see it, but it basically said that Christian Leo Willie's been playing fantastic for Otago. Should he be named in the All Blacks over someone who maybe hasn't imposed himself, like a Sammy Penny-Finau beef?
Well, I think as we got to see on Friday night, at least he got the chance to go up against them and play an incumbent and measure him, and that's the best chance for Razors, especially if, you know, everything being equal. We know, because that sometimes one team gets an edge, so it's harder to outshine your opposite, but it's an opportunity for him, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it is an opportunity, and it does raise a great conversation, though, because also it does come back to the NPC coaches too, right? You look at Canterbury today, so they had Brodie McAllister released, but he actually started off the bench. That was the choice of the coach because they had George Bell there, who had been in the team for a majority of the season. So, yeah, there's always going to be, I think, a few that would agree, disagree, and you're just trying to find, I guess, a happy medium and do the best you can, right? And give guys opportunities. Yeah,
I just hope there's been a lot of wider conversations for players in regards to why they weren't released to play. Maybe they were told pure and simply, guess what, you're going to be named in the squad, you're touring, but if you're not named in the squad, for example, Finlay Christie, for example, if the halfbacks are fit, they decided to bring someone in. Could he have been a real help to Tasman in a playoff game? Even if he's played some minutes, has he got one more game in him? Because if he's not, he's then going to the All Blacks 15. I would say this, I think the provincial game is more important than the All Blacks 15. I think NPC at this time of the year, more important than the All Blacks 15.
Another message that has come through, yes, we are having a few tech issues that will get sorted, but there was one about a guy you've been hot on earlier this season. You're going to sound like the oracle here. The Otago halfback, Dylan Pledger, will he go on the end-of-year tour for the All Blacks as a message?
As much as I'd love to, I'd say he probably won't.
Not even as an apprentice like they used to do?
No, don't do that.
You don't want
Keep
the
him
apprentices?
playing in the All Blacks 15 with Jamie and that crew if he's not going to be in the All Blacks. I don't want him sort of sitting on the sidelines and holding tackle bags for a month. Now, I get that apprentice scheme was a long time ago. I think when you've got quality coaches, you put a program together for a reason, right? He should be part of that if he's not part of the All Blacks. The reason I'm hot on him is the fact that I see a real upside, real athlete. Found out he's a very, very good basketballer. That's why you can see his athleticism, hands, great touch player growing up as well. Wasn't from one of the biggest schools. So I think for me, there's just a lot to like. I see the upside in it. I'd rather him keep playing, keep developing his game for me.
Another question just came in there about Shea Fihaki being the complete package. We've just seen him across 80 minutes for Canterbury. Could you see someone like him going on the interview tour for the All Blacks? He's been in the environment before, hasn't he?
He's been in there before. When you start throwing names out, though, you've got to work out who you're not taking. And, of course, people like Leicester were in there as injury cover. I think Leroy Carter technically might have even been injury cover as well. So which one of those two doesn't go? You presume both those two are going because they're the starting wingers right now. So all of a sudden you've got to find two to get Fihaki in there. So, yep, I think he's just another sitter for that New Zealand A tour along for a fair bit of other talent.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I agree with what you're saying, especially in certain areas, possibly outside backs where you do have a lot of depth as well. And there's been guys that have probably been incumbents in the past that haven't played a lot of rugby too. So you'll expect that they would possibly go too, unless the coaches are, looking at something totally different, right?
Can I ask you a question around the selection in your mind, the All Blacks 15? Are you looking at players who have played, say, a Dalton Papali'i? Are you going, if you're not part of the All Blacks squad, I want you to go in the All Blacks 15, or do you start looking a little bit deeper and going a layer below that, trying to develop players in this group? I mean, what would your philosophy be around the All Blacks 15? Are you just simply, I'm trying to win games, or am I looking for talent?
You're talking about the second
tier, not the top team.
Not the All Blacks.
To me, I mean, do we see any real surprises in the top side?
Here's a name, Caleb Tangitau. And Moni Narawa is out injured. Is there room for a Caleb Tangitau? Or
We're going to take a whole team of outside backs. Beautiful, about time. No midfielders. I mean, Timothy Tavatanawai, is he going to be fit again?
Yeah.
Where do we look? I mean, there's no doubt Tangitau had an outstanding start to Super Rugby. Signs in the NPC. Was it enough for you, Beaver? Was it enough for you to put him in?
If there's a bolter tomorrow, it's Tangitau for me, considering what he did for the Landers and considering, I guess, we've already ended up with 2 starting wingers who weren't in the initial group anyway, so clearly there's still searching. So Tangitau was pretty impressive for the Landers goalie.
Could come in for Sevu Reece.
And Sevu Reece would be named in your New Zealand A?
Yeah, could come in for him if they're looking at something a little bit different. And I don't know if he'd go into the starting lineup, but what he might do is go, OK, we'll get him in the environment. Sevu can get playing some rugby again, and we get a bit more of a sense on where he's at. But, I mean, remembering we've got 3 really significant test matches in Wales.
Yeah.
And it's the last test match. So how they map out that month will be really, really interesting.
I tell you what, all the Canterbury supporters have come through, so welcome back to the program for everyone that's watching from down those ways. Yes, well done as well for making another semi-final. But a question in, Braden Ennor, after how he performed today, could you see him back in the All Blacks at some stage? From Sam. Thanks, Sam.
Obviously, you never say never, but right now on current form with the midfielders stocks as well that we have in the All Blacks environment, I'd say he's... yeah, it's a bit of a stretch for him right now. But again, like Goldie said, you name him in that All Blacks 15 side, give him an opportunity to go and play, keep playing and developing and showing his wares. And I think that's where it probably sits right now.
OK, well, there's plenty of young up-and-coming players in the NPC right now, many of who have come through the New Zealand schools and under-20s teams, Jeff.
Yeah, I had a chat earlier on to catch up with Matt Sexton, who is the head of high performance, a director for New Zealand Rugby, and I asked him, and there was a lot of chat around this in regards to the secondary school's performance against the Australian under-18, and got his thoughts.
That scoreline was unreal. I guess it was pretty good playing conditions, to be fair. So there was a lot of points either side, but clearly the defence was not great. Our job is to deliver the talent really to the All Blacks. The age grade stuff really matters from a development perspective, but not necessarily as the be all end all. You know, whenever you put a black jersey on, there's a responsibility to perform and play well, and age group stuff is there's no difference with that. But yeah, I guess the talent pool, we've got some good talent coming through. I guess if you have a period of years where you don't have good depth or quality players in certain position, then that's alarming, and we need to do something about that. But if I reflect back on 2023. Where that schools team played against Australia, it was a similar result, but it was the other way. So, you've got to take it all in perspective. We are working hard to try and work a bit closer with schools. Previously, we were unassailable as an under-20 group, and clearly, we made the finals last year, which was great, but it's so tight at that level, and that's great for rugby. Not so good. That's when you put on the jersey and you go and play an international competition, it's fait accompli, you're going to win. But and I think the All Blacks, it's a bit like that as well. But I'm just sitting there as an observer, as you are, in that competition and seeing some really competitive games, and that TRC was. Great, and rugby championship, and the India tour is going to be similar too. So we've got some, some tight margins, and it can go any way, and that's great for rugby. But we need to try and find that edge, whatever it is. Pathways is going to be one, and we're in the thick of a big review that's hopefully going to make a difference to us.
It was an interesting discussion because he clearly wasn't alarmed at where we're at right now, but they were going to do a review of that whole program and where things are going. And remembering New Zealand Rugby's work with the the schools program is only really just in its infancy. They've come together. But I think that caught all of us, and a lot of people, to me, Beaver, I don't know about you, Cruz, but they were asking questions about, did you see that scoreline? And I've just looked across, if you look at the Super Under-20 competition this year in terms of number of points that are being scored, even through NPC up until the playoffs, we were seeing some 70s and 80s. You've been out there playing it. Does it feel as though there's less defence in this game or what? Because that's what it looks like when you start seeing these scores.
Yeah, it's a funny one, is it? I suppose, are the attacking schemes so much better that it's applying a lot more pressure on the defensive schemes? Or, yeah, as you're saying, is there just not as much emphasis on being able to defend? Because there's always the old adage, right? Like, defence wins your championship. Yep. So I think majority of time possibly is lent into the attacking side of the ball. So it can be tricky when obviously a team has momentum, like obviously the Australian under-18s did in this footage here against the New Zealand schools.
But you're seeing the next tier of player come through, though. You've hung in there long enough. For a generation, you didn't do enough, Beaver, to hang in there long enough to come on the show with the classics doesn't count. That's the past. But you're talking with the present. I mean, this is what the competitions you're talking about. This is what happens in 2025. 99 points on average in a game. 76 in the Super, 76. New Zealand under-20s, 53. NPC 57. For me, I just wonder, in regards to our game, when you start going to the highest level, does that start impacting as you're going through the fact defensive systems and the things that you would expect when you get to the orbits? Is that starting to hurt us, Beaver? Because I've always said, I mean this, is that our defence has been our greatest weapon, because we could turn defence into attack by turning the ball over, forcing the opposition to kick poorly or to make mistakes, and then we'd be gone. Is it more our counter-attack isn't as good as it used to be, or is our defence not as strong?
It was tough to know if it flows on to the school result, the 20s result. But I think there's probably a broader thing. You talked about them having a review. There's probably something broader that they've got to look at as far as where we've ended up with the school system and where they're all congregated in a few Auckland schools and a few big Christchurch schools and things like that. And does that automatically breed, I guess, you talk about naive rugby players where they know they're in a super school team and they don't get lessons that you might do if there's one good player and 14 guys who are just playing for a laugh, which I guess we were brought on, and that's where the system's got to, Kerr. So obviously the review's going to tell all.
Interesting that...
Yeah, look at the poll. 54% say New Zealand's production line is failing. There is a lot of comments in here, not just about Otago or Canterbury or who you think should be in the All Blacks, but someone from Northland says Matt Sexton's answers are a joke, and I'm sorry, but they are. Jan says that is a complete cop-out, more like excuses, we'd expect better. John says school rugby has gone away from physicality. Kids are drilled just skill.
Well, it's funny, I'm not sure. In some ways, and I watch a lot of first defend rugby here in Auckland and have seen a lot, that, we've talked about this a lot, the fact that they run professional programs, they train like professionals, and they're trying to almost imitate in the way that they play, and it's very predictable. And that encouragement to play what's in front of you and to develop skills. Probably the concern I have as I was watching was the ability of those players in Australia and the way that they were creative, dynamic, fast. They were built. And the one thing I'd say this, and Matt explained this to me, is that here in New Zealand, we don't continue with New Zealand rugby with players who are heading away to rugby league. In Australia, there's sort of they mix both together. There's guys who are there who are in rugby league programs who are big, strong, fast and athletic. I'm just wondering whether or not that's, to me, whether we're falling behind in some way in terms of our rugby IQ, in terms of when we're playing at high school, and the conditioning that you need as you get to the next level, because they were impressive. They really were. This
is so cool. This is an awesome comment that's just come through. Otago Waikato, a young Japanese halfback playing for Dunedin, asked Lima Sapawanga for a photo yesterday. Lima gave him a training jersey and he was wearing it yesterday with LS written on the back. Send in your comments, send in your questions via the QR codes on your screen. Get involved in the show. We love having you a part of it. There's still plenty more to come on the breakdown. We look at the Opta team of the Rugby Championship, and is the R360, is this competition a real threat?
There's this radical new rugby competition that is being proposed. You would have heard about it. R360. Is this a game changer, or will this be be a flop.
Well, 8 of the world's top rugby nations have warned players against joining the R360 League if they have any aspirations of playing Test football. Former England player Mike Tindall has reportedly thrown big money offers at union and league players.
All right, so who are we talking here?
Pappenhausen, Lomax, Jai Gray, Big Nelson,
Roger Tuivasa-Sheck.
Roger Tuivasa-Sheck.
He'd be the first one to go. It's something that's in the future. I don't know what's happening.
The AAU will not allow them to play Test rugby, and New Zealand won't either.
There are a number of things that are being raised and have been raised over several months now that there don't appear to be clear answers to.
Any competition that comes out of the cornflakes box, I'm not really concerned about it, because that's what it is.
If I was World Rugby, I would be really worried right now.
Look, this basically would devastate every competition across the world.
R360, there is plenty of people talking about this. It is the Rebel Rugby League, marketed as the F1 of rugby. Squidge Rugby on Instagram said, hyped to fly to Dubai to pay €3,000 for a ticket, watch Angus O'Brien, 3 Argentine wingers, a bunch of Japanese lads nobody's heard of, playing a team comprised of Roger Tuivasa-Sheck and Harry Mallender. We caught up with Mike Tindall, or we tried to anyway, because Mike Tindall is the high-profile player who is basically the marketing this one. He is the front face of this tournament. He said, hope all is well, thanks for reaching out. It is a no for now, but when the time is right, I will be happy to reach out. So no, he didn't want to come on the breakdown, but we'll be happy to talk to you when you do want to chat about this competition. So R360, I guess it's come back in the news this week because 8 of the top unions around the world, 8 of the top nations have said if you play R360, you will not be eligible to play international rugby, Jeff, including New Zealand rugby.
And that's the superpowers deciding this is a threat. So how do we do that? You're not going to play for your country. So we're now saying the jersey, you can't have it. And how desperate do you want to play for your country? Or are you a player that you'll go and play for money? And I mean, it just depends on what individual players and positions they might be in. Cruds, I mean, I know your shoulder's a bit sore, and like
it'll get better.
It'll get better really quickly. But the conversation more is the fact that are there going to be players who are in the twilight of their career or at the beginning of their career that don't see themselves as international rugby players who go, I'm happy to go and play in a competition where I'm not going to get picked for... And if I play overseas, I'm not going to get picked for the All Blacks anyway, because that's the rules that the New Zealand Rugby Union have now. So I look at it and go, I think there are players who will commit to this. How long it's sustainable for, I don't know, if the quality's not there.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think there'll be certain individuals that will be a firm no, and then there'll be other guys that will roll the dice, as you've just said, possibly those in the latter end of their career or just starting off and sort of don't necessarily see a pathway sticking around in their home country. So, yeah, I'm not sure what it looks like. I mean, yeah, if I need to keep rehabbing the shoulder,
you're rolling it already pretty good now.
If we need some experience drizzled into that competition, who knows? But yeah, it is. It's certainly got the rugby world talking though, doesn't it? Right now.
Is there another hand up over there?
Oh, yeah, but he's talking about experience. There's plenty of experience on this side of the table, Keen. But I think when you look at it, because of how they went about it, I think if they had potentially got World Rugby on board or the IRB on board to start with, then, you know, it could work together, because rugby, from a salary point of view, is always going to be vulnerable to a live golf situation. You know, and there is going to be that incentive. And if any of the boys followed live golf, they'll look at some of the boys that said no, and 12 months later wish they'd said yes. So it's going to be fascinating if it does get any legs. Who's going to be tempted? But
if they don't get these big players, will it actually get off the ground? Because who's going to watch it if you don't have superstars playing? As Squidge Rugby said, who am I going over there to watch? Like
hard to
50
be
Japanese players.
How are you parochial to a team that's basically, there's 8 teams of barbarians? I mean, that's what it is. I mean, you're picking and choosing, and the quality from high to low, and, you know, clearly, how does this make money? How do you generate revenue? I don't think Liv's got any chance of making money ever. You know, you wonder with the Sale GP, same thing, where you set up your own rules, whether or not it's making money, or is it just someone's investment in a sport? I want to see how this goes. So I just look at this, and this is a wider conversation, though, in regards to players' eligibility and where they might go and what they might do. And, you know, we don't want to lose players out of this country. We don't want to lose our depth here in New Zealand. We don't want to lose the players who might develop into a Leroy Carter, for example. You don't want to lose him who sees himself going, you know what, I don't think I'll be an All Black. but he ended up being an All Black. You know, he took the 5 years of hard work to become a New Zealand Sevens player and then opened a door, a window at the Chiefs and became an All Black. You don't want to lose that because all of a sudden I think we devalue everything we've got in the game.
But that comes down to a personal choice and opinion, doesn't it? If the black jersey means everything to you, you're going to stay.
Absolutely. It goes, I mean, that's the reality, you know, and
money or the All Blacks.
Yeah, but that's long been the situation. Like, Japan's always been sitting there, and yes, the Japan deals haven't quite been what they're talking here with Live Golf, or the similarities, but it's always been the option. And invariably, the black jersey's always won.
Question in here, or actually a comment. Can't see people in Lisbon or Madrid supporting their team of foreigners in one home game a season just because they're named after that place. You frequent Madrid, Beeve.
Yes.
Do you think the Madrid locals will get around R360 in their side?
Well, they turned out for a hungover Classics team, so who knows? But yeah, that's the reality. I mean, we've seen IPL too, Goldie, and now how that's been transported around the different leagues.
Yeah, but the IPL's changed the significant that now that there are more Indian players and the odd superstar going into those groups. So it started out as being the best of everybody, and then all of a sudden that's significantly changed. But you can't tell me that you're invested in all of these tournaments.
No.
And that's when you start talking about the international game. But that loyalty as you start talking about, we're in a different world now. These players look at the game differently than we looked at it. This is a new generation. That generation looks at life differently, and it's about where those opportunities might lie, you know, in terms of their futures. So that's what's at threat. Look, I genuinely look at this that, you know, we've got some challenges coming up. If we want to win test matches on a regular basis, we need to be strong in so many areas. And I think this is getting us to have the conversations that we need to have about what's the best way for New Zealand rugby to go forward.
Message in here from Murray from Auckland. He says he thinks R360, the Tongans and Samoans would jump at it for the money and it could ruin Pacific Island rugby. He's got a point, right? These are players that need to look after their families that may not earn the big bucks wherever they are playing.
Yes, absolutely. And when you do break it down too, I suppose your rugby career and your rugby life can be such a short window. So it does come down to the individual's needs. But totally agree, Goldie, like there's so many different dynamics. But I do think, yeah, although for a lot of the hype that's come around, that these conversations will be beneficial because it's going to force New Zealand rugby and other unions to actually start asking some serious questions to get things rolling.
So what you're saying, our players are already living in their prime. And for going for a couple of years overseas, Damien McKenzie did it. We've seen Shannon Frizzell go. Lester Whanganuku's done that. We've got obviously Richie Mo'unga, Bowden Barrett's had sabbaticals. They've had those things. So players already have chosen, but they've always had the ability to come back and be an All Black and come back and play. And, you know, our reputation is based on our legacy as a successful team. I think there's some players out there will be considering where they sit now, and we will start to see the true value of putting on the black jersey very, very soon.
Okay, well, talking about the black jersey, during the Rugby Championship for the 6 rounds, our stats provider Opta named an Opta Rugby Championship tournament team. Now, this is purely best in position based on stats. The All Blacks got 5 players in this team. There you go, Newell, Holland, Savia, Barrett and Will Jordan. These guys have had a look over this team. And Beeve, you've crossed a number of names and a number of players off. Who hasn't made your tournament team?
Can we zoom in on his team?
Who's been
You
don't want to zoom in on it.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. The loose forward trio, how you've not got Harry Wilson and Peter Steff in there.
It's based on stats.
Well, that's the thing. You can't pick a team by stats.
So let's talk about that. I mean, the fact of the matter is that's when you're picking a side, do you look at the statistics?
No, I wouldn't.
Right?
To a point. Like if someone's making alarmingly missed tackles and he's in a crucial position.
Well, he's not going to make your team.
He's not making your team.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't not say that Harry Wilson and Artie Savez at 7 and Peter Steff's at 6, and you know you look at Chislin Colby. Where's Chislin Colby in that from a stats point of view? Well, there wouldn't be a rugby fan in this planet that wouldn't pick Chislin Colby to be on his
on the back of those 6 games, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the hard part. When you start looking at statistics, it's all about context, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't really have the stats that allowed for this team to be picked yet, do we? So, yeah, absolutely. Stats come into it for me to a certain extent, but also it's It's what you see,
Pass the
right?
eye test,
Yeah,
right?
you got to pass the eye test.
The eye
100%.
test.
If you're looking at the eye test, then talk to us about the 10 sitting in there right now. It's the
He
box.
passed the eye test.
It's the box eye test.
Good eye
Sasha
test.
Feinberg Nomazulu. He passed it for you?
He passed it for me. Yeah, he was outstanding. Just very well balanced. Brings a totally different dynamic, I think, to the Springboks when he's at 10. And yeah, he's going to be a handful and a challenge for years to come.
So he was the best 10 in the Rugby Championship for you, Beef?
Yeah, it was. Obviously, again, he's one that, judging by this, he was lucky to get in there because he wouldn't have had 6 games.
Many.
But
that's why I want to see the stats.
his numbers obviously were great. But I mean, like Garcia at 9, like Reinach and I know Roygard only played 2, but geez, his 1 at Eden Park would have been enough to join the conversation just on that alone. Jorgensen for me would have had to have been thereabouts too if you're picking a back 3. Goldie, so yeah, it's interesting.
There's a balance of players here in a tournament which is as close as it's ever been. And the fact what we are seeing is that I think across the board, all of the teams are in different stages in terms of their development. Argentina are Argentina. They have their moments. Australia are a team that improved, but in the end, weren't able to get what was critical to them was a win over the All Blacks. That would have changed the context of their rugby championship. And I think it would be fair to say that the Springboks made hard work of it in the end, but they were the best team. It's more about where we sit right now. And you sit there and go, well, we've got 5 players in theory, a third of this team, you know, it was in the best statistical team, but we still didn't win the rugby championship. So that tells you for me that, you know, there are moments that players have that are more important sometimes than stats.
Yeah, is there anyone you would have had in here that's not currently in this side?
Oh, as you said, I think Harry Wilson was outstanding in terms of the way that he impacted the game, his leadership. He threw himself into everything. But you know, overall, like I don't know the numbers here in regards to what they used, but all these guys were good players.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You know,
of course, no one's doubting that.
Yeah,
This is
it's not a bad side. I mean, I'd like to coach that. You'd like to coach that team.
Would it beat the Lions, Goldie?
Well, Australia beat the Lions.
Well, that's true.
Well, they should have. That's right. They got ripped off.
Well, they beat them in 1.
Yeah.
They beat them
Then
in
they
1.
should have.
Another moral victory.
Yeah, another moral victory. More moral victories. More moral victories.
Look, we're not done with the NPC. We'll talk more about that very, very shortly. Maybe give our predictions for the semi-finals. You know which side of the fence I'm sitting on. Plus, any more questions, send them through on our QR code and we will put them to these 3 right after the break.
The first quarter-final is underway here under the roof in Dunedin. Oh, it's been intercepted, and away goes Fletcher. Has he got the pace? You betcha! Dylan Fletcher's going to score 2. Cometh the man. Cometh the hour. He's got it! Cameron Miller wins the quarter-final for Otago. Knock on Tasman, Bay Plenty with the advantage and the ball as they settle. Norris, ball on the inside for Harcoy. Here it is for Billy Anganopo. What a goal! Here it is for Bob. Ball on the inside. Billy Anganopo. Wonderful try. Parsons is there. Out with the clean-up. Milan to McClutchy. On the back leg of McClutchy. He'll score for Hawke's Bay. Almost there. Robert Chapman comes away with it. Here's the chance now. What a match this has been. Valiant effort from Counties.
I tell you what, this is the competition that keeps on delivering right up until that 4th and final quarter-final. Today, Canterbury will take on Hawke's Bay in Christchurch next Saturday night, 7 p.m, and Otago against Bay of Plenty under the roof at Forsyth Bar on Friday night. 2 sensational matchups. But let's talk about one of those moments from Friday night. Jeff, your side, Otago, and the clutch king, Cam Miller. Were you ever in doubt that he was going to knock that one over and send Otago to the semi-finals?
I'd love to say I was never in doubt, but let's be honest, this is not an easy kick, is it? I mean, from 2 guys who have been in situations like this before where you've got it on a tee, right? You're trying to win a game. The amount of concentration, he'd been really, really good. This has been a really good season for Cam Miller. Really has. He's developed as a player, the team around him, and to nail that moment, I'm stoked for the young man because that's not easy to do.
It's not easy to do, not at all. And obviously, the expectation too, a quarterfinal at home, the crowd right behind you, and you could just see the emotion that he expressed afterwards as well. And I tell you what, I know where I was in that moment. I was underneath getting my shoulder put back in, and I heard the crowd erupt, so I knew something had obviously happened.
It's not good.
Came out and saw that, but from a kicker's point of view, bloody stoked for the young man, fantastic.
And he's had a rough, in fairness, he's had a rough couple of years where, the Highlanders, he's been thrown around, treated odd questionable, considering they've got guys from overseas to take the jersey, which looked like it was going to be his. So to have that moment, be great for him, be great for his confidence and a chance for him to build on that.
The texters, the viewers, they're saying put Miller in the All Blacks 15 side to tour the North on those 3 matches. What do you reckon?
We love a good overreaction. He's a good player. He's going well. I'd love to see him in there, but I think there's some other guys in the conversation right now. But why not? If you feel as though you need someone and he's got Super Rugby experience, Josh Jacobs is obviously going to be one of those guys, but if you're looking for another...
You'd take more than one first 5 though, wouldn't you? He has, anyway, inspired our buzzer beater moments of the week.
There's the smile. How long's that going to last? Here's the kick from McKenzie. They like it. It is over.
This kick will decide the fate of the Bledisloe Cup. What a player, John Eales.
This for the series win. It's got the distance. Stein, Morné Stein, has won the game for South Africa.
So this is to win the game for the Highlanders. Lima Sopoana. He's leaning. It's over. The Highlanders have done it.
American history. George Whitehead to write his name. It's a legend. It's absolutely unbelievable. It's riveting. It's raucous. It is glorious.
Here's the kick. It looks good. It is over.
Here he goes, Aaron Cruden. And this time he's nailed it. And the All Blacks win. And they stay unbeaten through 2013. The first time it's happened in the professional era.
Yeah, they snuck one past the keeper there. Has someone got their job?
You'd moved before that kick and the previous kick.
No, go back and watch all my kicks. It was in my technique that I did a little shuffle before.
Yeah.
Hey, the Irish chasers, they should have known. They should have known.
It's the first attempt. Hold on. It's... Oh, I saw a little bit of a...
Yeah, but you need to go to some of the goal kicks I had in the game before this, and it was exactly the same. So, they jumped the gun. I did think it was over though there, you can see. And then King Richie comes over and just says, hey, mate.
How well did you strike it?
To be honest, when I first hit it, I thought it was going over because it was started down the middle, and I would normally go right to left, and that one went left to right. Thankfully got a second chance, and she went over.
The rest is history, as they say. Plenty of questions coming through here. Matthew from Lowburn wants to know, who are you backing for the rest of the NPC? Bob's closest to home.
Well, I was going to say, I do enjoy an underdog as well. But, probably seeing the way that the 2 teams from the Bay have been playing this season, I think they have a real opportunity to both go down south and shake things up this coming weekend, sorry.
Yeah, if Hawke's Bay get to the level they were last night, I see it tough from what I've seen this weekend for them not to get there.
Oh, look, I need to mention this one. Brendan from Dunedin says, how good's the officiating been in the NPC? Let's give our refs some love. We've got some of the best in the world, which means our product is better for it.
Was that Brendan Laney?
Maybe.
It could be Brendan Laney, Buffer. Good on you, mate. No doubt about it. Look, they do a great job. It's not easy.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure. I think they've had a really strong season. I think the fact that across both Super and NPC, that we've introduced different parts of the game and the way they want the game to flow, they've tried to keep that going. Hence, we're seeing a lot of high scores. You didn't ask me. It's a Otago Hawke's Bay final.
I think it's a Bay of Plenty Hawke's Bay final. But look, we'll work that out.
We'll beg to differ on that.
Yeah,
we'll beg to differ on that.
Here's a question for you, though. Charles from Auckland says, can someone tell me why Folau Fakatava is on the outer with the All Blacks? He's been playing fantastic.
I can't tell you why, other than the fact that there are some other players who are very, very good. And Folau has had a number of injury issues. For me, though, you know, at the moment, what he's done is put himself back in the conversation.
Passing the eye test?
Yeah, all of a sudden he is. But to be fair, and Folau would probably be the first to admit, during Super Rugby? No. His kicking during Super Rugby was a massive issue for him, and the Landers, I thought.
You notice the Hawke's Bay don't kick?
Yeah, well, I just thought he looked fit and sharp.
Kicks everything. Sullivan kicks everything.
Last night, I thought he looked fit and sharp like I hadn't seen him all year, and his game reflected that. He was the most dominant inside back on the field, hence why I think Hawke's Bay won.
Shane from Christchurch says, do you think Quinn Tupaia will get plenty of game time on the Northern Tour at 13?
Yeah, I'm really hopeful. Obviously, I think what he provided in that last Bledisloe Cup Test match was enough for me to see that he will get another crack there. And hopefully just continue, I guess, the combination with Geordie, if Geordie is going to be the 12 as well, because I thought that was a real standout in that Test match in Perth.
Well, funny you mentioned Geordie, because someone else has said, why is Geordie still playing at second five? I think he is a better fullback.
They used him at the back to cover the high kicks in the Test match. I thought it was really, really sharp. No, I think, you know, if you start looking at our combinations, Beaver, for me, I like what they've done with Quinn. Gives him an opportunity, whether he can build that with Geordie. Will Jordan still, I think, for us going forward is our fullback. So I don't move Geordie around at this stage.
No, I mean, you're in a perfect example, Goldie, because, I mean, in the past when we've had 4 or 5 great outside backs, we've tried to juggle to get everyone in. I think when the secure, Will Jordan's your 15, let's commit to that. Geordie's your 12, commit to that, and then start to put the piece together. And as we said, Quinn is certainly putting his hand up to be a part of that. OK,
so where does Leicester Whanganuku fit into this picture on the Northern Tour then?
I think he's on the left wing to start again, seeing based on that performance in Perth and what he provided. I think obviously Caleb Clark the week before was a bit unlucky in regards to his injury, but I think if we're looking for that profile of winger, yeah, I think Leicester's probably your starting 11 for me.
Well, it'd be very hard to change that Perth team, I'd have thought, considering, like, you're talking to backs who had to play in torrential rain. Goldie, you were there, but it seemed like not great conditions for backs, and a lot of those backs stood out, so they deserved the chance to go again in Chicago.
I think they might have discovered a little bit of a blueprint in terms of how they want to play, and we've been playing very flat on the line, Crowds. I'll ask you this quickly. Being very flat on the line, all of a sudden you bring size into the 3 guys that came in, Peter Lakai, and you brought Leicester Whanganuku in, and you brought Quinn Tupaia, and it allowed the All Blacks to be very, very direct in the way that they want to play. We haven't been able to do a lot of the flash stuff to go out to the edges, and I'm not sure that's suiting us right now. I think they've got a blueprint. OK, you know what? We're going to keep going through the front door. Now, does that work against South Africa? We haven't got to play South Africa in the next 4 games, so maybe we use that against the Northern Hemisphere teams. I'm not sure. What do you think?
Yeah, I like what you're saying there, because, I mean, rugby can be I guess, very simple, right? And it's about winning the gain line. It's about getting front football, and it's just when you've got big bodies that are able to do that consistently, I think that then allows us to bring in our finesse game. But you've got to start with a power game somewhere too.
There's a great question in here from Zahid in Christchurch. He wants to know, in your view, and we'll go around the table here, who is the best player of all time from your province? Beef. Counties.
You want from counties? Oh, it's a flip of the coin between Jonah and Joeli.
So, who wins?
Jonah, just.
Aaron?
Manawatu, I would have to go, you'd have to go, obviously, Aaron Smith, but also I'll claim Christian Cullen played for Manawatu as well when I was a young boy.
That's a great question. Look, mine's 100% left field, but the player I respected the most was David Latter. You know, and people go, who's crazy was his nickname. And he was a hooker, and he epitomised everything it meant to wear the jersey, because he was about 78 kgs playing hooker. That's what he was doing. So for me, David Latter, and I know he's vocal about the fact get a big crowd in this next weekend.
Look, I'm going to pick my favourite provincial player, but I'm going to pick a great rugby league man from Wainoia-Mata. He is on our commentary crew here. His name is Ken Laban, and he is now Mayor of Hutt Valley. So a big congratulations from all of us here at Sky Whaono. Ken Laban, the first Pacifica Mayor in New Zealand, which is just incredible, and we're all so proud of you.
Yeah, absolutely. I just quickly, I said to Josh on the radio this week, most importantly, the fact I'd mention the Heartland Championship. Don't forget about it this weekend. Mid Canterbury taking on Timms Valley in the Meads final, and then North Otago taking on Horowhenua Kapiti. So I can't wait to see who comes out on top. Josh, I said I'd mention it for you. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a great season for both of those, all four of those teams.
Okay, we're back at 7:30, back to our usual spot next Sunday. Friday night, though, all eyes will be locked. Otago, they have plenty. May the best team win. Go the Bay. The end of year tour is 4 straight test matches starting in that old place, Chicago against Ireland, Scotland, England and Wales. So the grand slam for the All Blacks to finish the season.
Kia ora, welcoming everyone to Soldier Field on a magnificent day in Illinois.
Hello and welcome to Edinburgh. It's into the heart of Scotland we head for the next stop on the All Blacks Northern Hemisphere tour.
And welcome to our live coverage of a test match we always look forward to. The All Blacks against England at Twickenham. Never a dull one as the Red Dragon breathed its fire on the men in black.
Looking dangerous again. The men in green. Murray up the centre. Connor Murray. Here's Heaslip. Well, he picks it up quickly and off he goes. Drops it off to Henshaw. Robbie Henshaw scores it.
It's there for New Zealand. De Groot quickly through the hands. Barrett sends a kick out. Here's a chance for Talia. He's in. In his first test match, Mark Talia scores.
Now the prospect boy, we've seen some of these today, and it's worked brilliantly again. Here's the pace of Rico Ioane. I think he's going to go all the way here. Rico Ioane, what a try. Been really good, Will Jordan. Now he tries to do it himself. If it sits up, it does. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.